Hello, my name is Meg Seberg. I'm with the Career Development Center at Loyola University, Chicago. Today, I will walk you through a brief webinar to help you prepare for virtual interviewing. More and more, employers are relying on remote interviewing. This trend began before COVID-19 social distancing and will continue as technologies advance and industry norms change. During this time of COVID-19, we will see a decrease in in-person interviews and an increase in virtual interviews. There are two types of virtual interviewing. One type is called one-way interviewing or asynchronous interviewing, and this is where you'll be asked by an employer to pre-record answers to certain questions that will be reviewed by the interviewer at a later time. The second is called two-way interviewing or synchronous interviewing, where you'll be asked to do a live interview on a platform with one or more interviewers. This guide contains tips that are useful for all types of interviewing, but which are especially helpful as you prepare for upcoming virtual interviews. It's important to keep in mind common themes that are applicable across all interviews. And there are standard questions that you can prepare for ahead of time. You're not being evaluated on your ability to improvise or make up answers on the spot. Having pre-prepared responses can help you come into interviews with more confidence, which will be reflected to the employer. First and foremost, the interviewer will expect you to connect your skills, experience, and values with the work that they do. Remember, you're there for a reason. Rest assured that the employer has already identified points of connection through your application materials, and they're looking for someone to be the right fit. It's important that you know your own resume inside and out, and that you can articulate how your background makes you a good fit for the organization and the specific position you applied for. Before each interview, you should review your resume, review the job description, and research the employer. Through Google, LinkedIn, and other online sources, you can learn much more about the organization or the company's clients, constituents, funding, management structure, and mission. Next, remember that your nonverbal communication is also important. Nonverbal behaviors such as a strong handshake, good eye contact, and strong posture can affect whether or not we are perceived as professional. Being nervous is normal and natural, but nerves can also impact both our verbal and nonverbal behaviors, causing us to fidget, avoid eye contact, and more. Practicing ahead of time can help mitigate the impact that nerves can have on our behavior. Next, and we'll talk more about this on another slide, but it's important to demonstrate your skills and experience by responding to interviewer questions with concrete examples. You don't just want to tell an employer how you're qualified. You want to show them by describing how you have used certain skills in past scenarios to create results. Additionally, it's important to come to every interview with prepared questions. Most importantly, you want to gather as much information as you can to assess whether or not an opportunity is the right fit for you. Also, asking questions shows an employer that you're thoughtful and that you care about the work they do. After the interview, you should always send a follow-up thank you email within 24 hours, highlighting specific points from your interview and tailoring the email to the specific interviewer. Lastly, for virtual interviews, it's critical that you test your technology in advance and prepare a quiet, clean location for the interview. It's best to do virtual interviews using a laptop, so you'll need to check your computer microphone and camera in advance, as well as ensure that you have a strong internet connection. If you live with friends or family members, make sure they know that you have an interview and ask them to be as quiet as possible so that there are no noises or disruptions during the interview. As a backup, consider keeping a phone near you in case you have any technological difficulties. In addition to this webinar, the Career Development Center has several resources at your disposal for preparing for interviews. For more in-depth information on interviewing, click on these links to access a 3-part YouTube tutorial as well as our interview guide. As I mentioned before, using concrete examples in response to employer interview questions is the best way to showcase your skills and experience. During interviews, especially when we're nervous, it can be difficult to recall specific scenarios. And for some of us, it may also be difficult to create parameters or structure around our answers. The STAR method is an excellent tool for preparing structured responses to interview questions. STAR, S-T-A-R, is an acronym, which I'll walk you through now. The S stands for situation. In order for the interviewer to understand your example, you need to first lay out the context or the background. Where were you? Who were you working with? The T stands for task. What task or problem in the situation did you need to address? The A stands for action. What did you do to address the task or the problem? This is where it's important to use strong verbs and action-oriented language to help the employer understand what skills you used to solve a problem or to create something. Lastly, the R stands for results. What was the outcome of your actions? Did a problem get solved? Did you learn or grow from the situation? How is this all translatable to the job you're applying for? Using the STAR method to practice answering interview questions can help you keep your responses relevant, specific, and concise. Consider writing down your responses before practicing them out loud. Once you've written down examples, it's time to practice them out loud. Here are some common interview questions that you can use to come up with specific examples. Even if you aren't asked these questions exactly as they are written in an interview, they get at common traits that employers want to see, including leadership, ability to work under pressure, ability to multitask, and ability to work with others. We recommend practicing these responses by video recording yourself on your phone or computer so that you can review your responses and evaluate them later. We've included this evaluation tool to help you assess your responses. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, measure yourself in these categories. Do you exhibit professional body language and eye contact? How's the lighting, sound, and background? Are you speaking clearly and at a moderate pace? Do your answers sound confident, concise, and do they address questions directly? Are you using the STAR method to give concrete examples? Are your answers highlighting skills, values, and qualities that are relevant to the opportunity? Were there any questions that you found particularly difficult? Were there questions that you answered better than you thought? Review relevant sections of our guides and our videos and then try again. Remember that practice makes perfect. If you still have questions or concerns about interviewing, you can schedule an appointment with an advisor by logging into Handshake or calling our office. Currently, our advisors are available for virtual appointments and can also connect you with virtual mock interviews. We hope you've enjoyed this webinar, and we wish you the best as you prepare for upcoming interviews.